Today I'm going to teach you about what I call the BDBT Score. This is my system for rating any food before you eat it. It gives you a very simple picture of whether that food is pushing you forward or pulling you backwards, whether it's a daily win or a daily drift. Now, before I get started, I'll make one thing perfectly clear. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I'm someone who is passionate about making small improvements in as many areas of your life as possible, because I believe the small improvements are the achievable ones. And more importantly, I believe they are the sustainable ones, which create the powerful ripple effects that change the trajectory of our lives. What I share with you here today is not about being perfect. It won't line up with every single opinion out there in the self-improvement space. There will always be people who disagree, and that's absolutely fine. What I'm here to do is give you guidance, to give you a framework that you could use, to give you tools that you could use in real life, tools that can help you make better decisions and see instantly whether you are winning or drifting. My framework is not bulletproof, but it's helped me, it's helped many other people to make improvements to what they eat without feeling like they have to give up the things they love. So here's how it works. Every single food, according to the BDBT score, has two relevant numbers, a win score and a drift score. The win score is made up of the protein and fiber in that food. Those are the ingredients that keep you full. They keep your energy stable, they fuel your body properly. The drift score is made up of three things: the sugar, the saturated fats, and the salt. Those are the ingredients that tend to send you drifting off course. They give you the highs, they give you the crashes, and subsequently they give you the cravings. They lead to the overeating and the health issues later down the line. So already at this stage, somebody may be inclined to highlight the fact that, for example, not all saturated fats are bad, and that salt can be positive in moderation. Whilst I acknowledge those points, my sole objective here with this score is to help equip people with a simple framework they can use in real life. Real life with all of the chaos, all of the responsibilities, all of the time constraints that go with it. So yes, I acknowledge that some types of saturated fats could be good for you, but for the purposes of my BDBT score, I'm categorizing saturated fats as a drift because statistically, I believe most of them are. Certainly in the typical products that get purchased in supermarkets or similar outlets. So, how do we calculate the BDBT score? Very simple. You simply compare the win number with the drift number. So if the win score is greater than the drift score, you can eat it. If the drift score is higher than the win score, you leave it. Full stop. So let's put it into practice. Let's say you're looking at something like the nutritional values of a Mars bar. You're looking at the per 100 grams and it shows you that it has very little protein and fiber, maybe 2 grams in total. So it has a win score of 2. But the sugar, salt, and fats combined, saturated fats, is closer to 30. So we have a win score of 2 and a drift score of 30. So we have a drift to win ratio of 15 to 1. 15 times as much drift as there is win. A terrible ratio and a food that is undeniably pulling you way off course. A Mars bar is a drift. But now let's look at something like a chocolate-flavoured Graze bar. Still sweet, still chocolatey, still a snack, but it might have 6 grams of protein and 4 grams of fibre, so a win score of 10. Compared to a drift side, where maybe it has 7 grams of sugar, 2 grams of saturated fat, and a touch of salt. So a drift score of 9, essentially a ratio of 1 to 1. And that is my minimum threshold, 1 to 1 or better. If the win score matches or beats the drift score, it's allowed. If not, you don't eat it. Now, if your brain is already running a mental list of all the items you're worried you'd have to give up, or all of the things you simply wouldn't want to give up, allow me to reassure you right now that whilst the food industry has reached new levels of pushing foods with very high drift scores onto you, because they know it gets you addicted and it leaves you wanting more, there are a number of shining stars in the food industry too who share my passion for bringing you alternatives with a much better win to drift ratio. Whether it's healthier types of sweet treats, whether it's better types of crisps, whether it's healthier snacks in general, more nutritional ready meals, they do exist, and I will help you find them. But back to our example, if you have a Graze bar with a ratio of 1 to 1, that's a good starting point, a good substitute for a chocolate bar, and one that is definitely allowed as a swap for our sweet treat of choice. But ideally, we want a score that's even better. We want a score where there are more wins than drifts. A 2-to-1 ratio would be even better. A 3-to-1 ratio would be great. That is where your food really starts to serve you. For snacks and desserts, a 1-to-1 ratio is fine. You're still enjoying something sweet, but you're balancing it with fiber and protein so you don't get smashed by the crash. For your meals, though, I set a higher standard. At least a ratio of 2 wins for every drift, because when you're eating a meal, your focus should be on fueling, not spiking. Protein and fiber need to dominate. Sugar should be reserved for desserts, not hidden inside your dinner. Now, please don't mistake that for me saying you're not allowed to eat carbs. You absolutely are. I eat them most days, but I always make sure the fiber and protein are on my plate and that they're in the right proportions, because ultimately this is all about balance. Now, here's one of the real strengths of the BDBT score. When you're in the supermarket, food packaging makes it really easy. You've got the numbers right in front of you. You can very quickly add up the protein and fiber for the win score. You can quickly add up the salts, sugars, and saturated fats for the drift score, and you can see instantly whether that food is a win or a drift. But the beauty of the BDBT score is that the more you use it, the more it trains you. Over time, you naturally start to learn which types of food are loaded with sugar, which ones tend to have more protein and fiber. You start to spot patterns in meals and in snacks. You identify food types as being rich in one nutritional area or another. You build up a bank of knowledge without even realizing it. And then, when you're in a situation where there are no labels or nutritional value tables, the system still works. When you're at a restaurant or on the road at a service station, when you're at someone else's house, you've already trained yourself to see food differently. You can make an educated guess on whether a meal is going to have a stronger win score or a stronger drift score. And that subconscious skill helps you order better, snack better, and avoid drifting without even having the numbers in front of you. That is where the BDBT score really pays off. This ties directly into something I teach called priming your vessel. There are 3 ways to prime your vessel, and one of them is guarding what you put into your body. Food is fuel, and if you're careless about what you put in, you cannot expect to run at your best. The BDBT score is one of the simplest and most powerful systems for guarding what goes into your vessel. Every time you eat, you get to ask, am I winning or am I drifting? And the label, or your own trained judgment, will let you know the answer. And here's the part I love. This is not about restriction. This is not about saying you can never have chocolate again or crisps again. It's about swapping things. Simple, practical swaps. Tiny little improvements in lots of different areas. Go from a Mars bar to a Graze bar. Go from Monster Munch to a Snacker Jacks. Go from a creamy yogurt to a high protein yogurt. It's still chocolate, it's still crisps, it's still a yogurt. It just scores better. And when you add up all those small upgrades over the weeks, the months, and the years, the impact on your health is absolutely ginormous. It really is the ultimate ripple effect. Think about it. You make somewhere in the region of 35 food choices a week. That's over 1,500 food choices a year. If you let your food drift, your health is going to drift. If you let your food win, your health is going to win. The BDBT score gives you the simplest system possible for spotting the difference. So here's my challenge to you. This week, read the label on one food you have already purchased. Work out the win score, work out the drift score, add up the protein and the fiber for the win score, add up the sugar, saturated fats, and salt for the drift score. Then check the ratio. If the win score is equal to or better than the drift score, you're on track. If the drift score is dominating, then you know that you are drifting away from your goals with that food. And as you do this, notice how you start to train your instincts. Notice how you are starting to see food differently. Notice how you are beginning to understand food differently. Notice how you're building a skill that will help you win even when there are no numbers on the packaging. This will change the way you shop. It will change the way you snack. It will change the way you order in restaurants. It will change the way you feel. More energy, feeling fuller for longer, fewer cravings, a body that thanks you for fueling it properly. And let me remind you again, I don't claim to be a nutritionist. I'm certainly not a doctor. I've never been a scientist. The BDBT score is not meant to be perfect under every definition out there. It's simply meant to be a practical tool that can guide you. It's meant to be useful. It's meant to be a simple system to immediately see whether the food you're about to eat is more likely to move you towards a win or more likely to pull you back into a drift. The BDBT score is designed to give people a system for navigating the minefield of marketing and advertising that accompanies our modern food industry. The BDBT score is your system, your filter, your way of guarding what goes into your vessel. It's your quick test to check whether you're winning or drifting with every bite you take. In another video, I'm going to show you all of the swaps, the everyday foods you can replace with slightly better versions that instantly improve your BDBT score, because this is not about perfection. It's just about making little bits of progress and acknowledging that every bite you take is either a daily win or a daily drift. So choose the wins, guard what goes into your vessel, and enjoy the ripple effects. Big love, Big Daddy.